Hey folks, welcome back. I'm your host, R.R. Slugger, and in keeping with the season, we're going to be taking a look at LEGO Studios. Wait, didn't we already do that? After I released my video on the theme back in July, a few fans of the channel saw my pitiable collection of the Scary Monsters wave and took it upon themselves to remedy this. Vispren and his brother sent me 1380 Werewolf Ambush and 1381 Vampire's Crypt from their own childhood collections. In addition, Luke sent me the last set I needed to round out the wave, 1382 Scary Laboratory. Please join me in thanking these folks for their generosity. A video like this simply wouldn't have happened without them. The sets featured in this video were all released in 2002 and serve as the last gasp of air for the LEGO Studios series. The Just Imagine era was on the way out, and the shakeup of 2004's Play On era was on the horizon. As such, many of the parts in these sets, even ones that may appear outwardly ordinary, remain rare or series exclusive to this day. Since we already covered 1383 Curse of the Pharaoh in a previous video, I'm just going to jump ahead into looking at the new stuff. Starting with Werewolf Ambush, we're introduced to the lead actors of whatever's being filmed, Willem Dafoe and Kirsten Dunst. I don't actually know if the likeness was intentional, but these actors co-starred in a previous LEGO set within the Spider-Man branch of studios. They're joined by Sparks from LEGO Rock Raiders, but I've got to admit, he's looking a little long in the tooth these days. Indeed, on certain nights when the angles are right, a lycanthropic urge takes hold. This werewolf minifigure might be my favorite of the whole series. I love that the designers felt the need to include an alternate torso to better depict the total transformation. Additionally, I really enjoy how the minifigure works equally well as a costume or a true-to-life creature of the night. The set itself is comprised of two halves, an old-fashioned car and a foreboding dead tree. The car wouldn't be at all out of place within the roster of jalopies from the Adventurers series. The greens and grays in particular remind me of Dino Island. There's actually supposed to be a little bit more green on the front of the vehicle, but there's a piece missing from Vispren's childhood copy. Would you believe me if I told you that this part hasn't been in a LEGO set in over 20 years? Okay then, I guess we'll be using gray instead. Before we move on, I just wanted to mention that this 1x4 brown panel on the back of the vehicle is actually series exclusive. We'll see it again in the Vampire's Crypt, but I always find it interesting when a part, especially a particularly mundane one such as this, can't be found outside the series that introduced it. This medium-sized, decrepit tree still has some leaves clinging on for dear life. Its barren branches and general lilt don't inspire confidence, though. When we flip it around, we actually see the studio's influence showing through with a set-exclusive printed control brick. It seems that this mechanism could be used by the crew to topple the tree onto some suspecting stunt doubles. There's also a rotating head to the whole manufactured abomination that reveals a pair of sleep-deprived angry eyes. For some reason, the LEGO Group decided to release these parts in over a dozen random creator buckets in the coming years, traumatizing children far and wide. Overall, this set delivers a lot with only 110 pieces. The werewolf and the car are definitely the highlights for me. That being said, taken with the other smallest set in the wave, there's certainly a distinct lack of studios in this LEGO Studios line. Let's see if the next set continues that trend. 1381 Vampire's Crypt came highly recommended to me, and I can definitely see the appeal. The star of the show is the titular vampire, and, ironically, this one looks to have been victim to its fair share of bites. Willem Dafoe returns for a sequel, and he's joined by an elusive hunchback. I say elusive because the face print is exclusive to this figure, and I don't have it. Hence the recasting I had to do here. Don't worry, we'll keep them in deep background shots so nobody notices. In addition, we also receive our first member of the film crew. Sadly, the department they belong to isn't printed on their back like it was in the inaugural wave of LEGO Studios, but their lanyard actually says that they're a sound tech in teeny tiny lettering. I neglected to mention this in the last video I made on the series, but did you know that each of the original lanyards are legible within the PDF copy of their corresponding set instructions? Turns out this isn't Doc's at all, unless he's going under a different name since returning to Earth. Can't let the public know about that Quadrant 14 business, eh? When looking at the set itself, we get something that is so incredibly evocative of a specific point in time within LEGO's history, it's almost impossible to put into words. I spoke of the Just Imagine era earlier, approximately lasting from 2000 to 2002. Well, this is exactly what I mean. The centerpiece of this entire display is essentially a glorified picture frame. Flanked on either side by set-exclusive dark gray jack stone pillars, the cardboard insert in the middle is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in this set. Without it, the whole thing falls apart. Love it or hate it, the idea of interchangeable set dressing is so on point for LEGO Studios, and really could have only happened within this narrow time frame. Maybe Just Imagine was less of a slogan and more of a set of instructions on how best to enjoy this toy. As in, just imagine this illusion actually works. There's also a lot of weird and unique ideas present in the other builds within this set. This platform with staircase makes for an interesting pairing with the included handcart, as both are perfect resting places for the vampire's coffin. This coffin, by the way, is objectively the coolest thing ever. Not only does it feature a set-exclusive mold with this wicked lid, but it's also adorned with adorable skeleton handle stickers to complete the look. I think even Pharaoh Hotep would be jealous of these digs. The final build is, well, how do I put this? It truly feels like it was made by aliens. I wasn't at all prepared for the frankly bizarre building techniques it uses. Like, okay, look at this. It uses set-exclusive dark gray wheel well pieces and an elastic band to create an elevator to lower the coffin down to ground level. Who does this? If you're looking to have your mind blown, look up the instructions for this set. To me, it feels like this is an imaginary offshoot of the real LEGO design timeline that actually happened. Even though this is real and sitting right in front of me. I can't explain it. That feeling only intensifies when I look at set 1382 Scary Laboratory. I thought I had seen everything this era of LEGO had to offer. I was wrong. This set is both more intricate and yet physically smaller than I had anticipated. There are a lot of stickered and brick-built details decorating the model, and both are balanced beautifully with neither one making the other feel out of place. Some of my favorite sticker usage can be found on the rockwork surrounding the Iron Gate, or the large wall pieces making up the twin spires. Yes, these could have been prints, but the use of stickers allows for more variety at a cheaper price point, and they do the job perfectly well. Some of my favorite brick-built details include these absolutely unnecessary iron-barred windows on the rear of the build, or the inclusion of this set-exclusive dark gray lion head statue mold. Again, this is on the back of the playset. No one was demanding this attention to detail, but I love to see it. There are a plethora of gears and gizmos located all across the model, and the dangling chains and pestilent pests surely don't meet with traditional health and safety standards. Between the perfect color palette choices and the extravagant details littering the set, I think the LEGO designers absolutely nailed the aesthetic they were going for here. In terms of minifigures, we receive both of our star actors, as well as the Spielbergian director from Wave 1. Combined with a dolly cam and adorable dressing room build, this effectively represents the last semblance of studios within this sub-theme. Overall, I've got to be honest, the link between the two ideas is tenuous at best. Originally, LEGO Studios was all about creating the illusion of a film set, with false front set dressing and animatronic contraptions. What would you be left with if you tried to remove the studio's influence from a set like this? With the Scary Monsters sub-theme, we see a dramatic shift in design priorities. The studio's influence is hardly present to begin with, meaning that its removal is a trivial process and barely impacts the final product. There are arguably good and bad results to this approach. One positive result is that the sets feel comparatively more complete and less like facades. You could choose to remove the film set angle and enjoy these kits without the fourth wall breaking element entirely. A negative result of this, though, is that the studio's branding now feels non-diegetic. The Scary Monsters sub-theme just doesn't feel like it's a film set, or even shot on location for that matter. The fantastical has completely taken over, and I feel these sets have more in common with 2012's Monster Fighters theme than they do with LEGO Studios. How this change is received is up to the individual to decide. For my money, this sub-theme contains some of the best sets within LEGO Studios, yet has some of the worst LEGO Studios sets, if that makes sense. Anyways, continuing with the characters, there's also a mad scientist with a real Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing going on. I admire the attempt at a lab coat, but the white on black leg printing isn't fooling anyone. Dual molded legs would have been the obvious solution today, but even back then, I think white legs would have sold the illusion better. This misfire is probably the biggest blunder in a series full of otherwise stellar minifigures. There's only one missing, and I'm not buying it. Sure, Frankenstein's monster looks neat, but there's no way I'm spending that much on a single minifigure. I'm just going to use a random stand-in for this video. So, what is there to do within this scary laboratory? Well, let me tell you, there's simply no shortage of play features here. This highly intricate Technic lift arm allows opposite platforms to be raised and lowered simultaneously. While this could function as a scale, I think the primary use case is to raise the mad scientist's creation up to the transformation laser above. The laser platform itself is actually removable and serves as the only thing keeping the two halves of the set together. If you remove the lightning rod assembly and position the laser in its place, you can zap anyone who sits within this throne. I have no idea if this was an intended play feature, but that doesn't stop it from being fun. The other half of the model forms a transformation chamber, complete with giant industrial-sized freezer door. Load the minifigures that you want to swap into the contraption and turn the skeleton head on top. Just be careful, you may not like what emerges. Operating this contraption also spins this spiraling electric pattern, and this reminds me of something.
Wow! Where in time are we, Dr. Cyber?
I'm not sure, Timmy, but we better put on some disguises to blend in!
Wow! A creepy iron gate! What does the sign say, Dr. Cyber?
Oh, nothing! It's probably just some local welcome sign! Come on!
Wow! A scary laboratory! But I don't see anyone, Dr. Cyber!
That means it's safe to look around! What do you see, Timmy?
I see a long, empty corridor that extends into an unknowable abyss. There's a man in a spacesuit standing at the end of the hallway. I don't recognize his face, but I know in my heart of hearts that he recognizes me. His sorrowful smile makes my soul weep, but the strength of conviction in his eyes assures me that even in my darkest moments, everything will be all right.
Yes, I sometimes see that too. Anyways, we have visitors!
Wow! They've chained me to this platform, Dr. Cyber!
Be careful, Timmy! I think they might be communists.
Whoa! I want to get off Mr. Bones' wild ride!
Timmy, are you alright?
I think so. I don't feel any different, Dr. Cyber.
Yes, well, it turns out they couldn't transform you into a monster because humanity was the monster this whole time. The way we rely on single-use packaging and drilling for petroleum to make our little plastic toys, yes, well, it's all very bad, and we shouldn't be doing that.
Oh, well, I guess you're right. Oh, wait.
Oops.